Well, let's start with the top of the order. Rory Burns and Hasim Hamid failed again to make much of an impact. Would you persevere with them for the third test at the MCG or make changes?
No, I think we've just done a vodcast actually with Nasser, Ath and Wardy, and I was of the opinion that I think I changed with Rory Burns actually. I think when you pick teams now, especially when you're in the situation that England are in, the upside's got to be great. You know, when you pick a player, the upside has to be really good. And Rory Burns is not done for me by when he struggles. It's the fact that I think if he found form, if he became, found his rhythm, all this stuff, I don't think the upside is enough for him to get in there ahead of a Zach Crawley, who's the spare batsman or spare opening batsman. When you're 30-odd, as what Rory Burns is, you're there to actually perform and do what Joe Root and what Milan has come in straight away and done. You're not there to find your feet. So I would make that change. I'd probably I'd bring in Lawrence for Pope, because Pope, I think, looks like and everyone says he's going to be a fantastic player. He looks the part. He's just got to show us that mentally he's got what it takes for that sort of stuff. So they're the two changes I'd make with the bat.
Yeah, you mentioned Zach Crawley there, but what would he bring, do you think, that perhaps Rory Burns can't at the minute?
Well, he's a different player. He's got a more simplistic technique, that's for sure. He's a more attacking player, so he might be someone. When he opened the batting against South Africa, when he came into the side, he actually got England off to decent starts. He sort of threw a bit of momentum back England's way, which is not necessarily what Hamid and Burns do. Rory Burns, he'll be fine. If he averages 35 in Test cricket, he'd have done pretty well. But you want more than that from an England opening batsman.
England have used 21 openers in less than 10 years. One of those was Alistair Cook, of course. He played 78 Tests. Why do you think it's been such a problem for them?
It sort of goes back into the system, that really, in the fact that batting is just hard at the moment in English cricket. English cricket basically rewards medium pacers who run up and dob it on a length. It doesn't reward spinners, it doesn't reward fast bowlers, and it certainly doesn't reward top order batsmen. So the England selector now is Chris Silverwood. They're sitting around going, well, there's not a list of names of people to pick. I've got to take flyers with young players and have a look at them, with people with no real record, and see who's doing well, or who do I think will do best. And that becomes tough. So if you get down deep into it, it takes a while to sort of look, and there's so many issues that we need to sort out with our domestic game first.
Rob, Ollie Pope made just 9 runs in Adelaide. I guess that's not a great figure in itself, but was the manner of these dismissals more worrying than the performance?
Yeah, I think it is in a way. But Ollie Pope, as I said, looks a good player, but he's got a good technique, he's got a good record behind him. But Test cricket is more than that. It's about your temperament and all the mental challenge and the mental side of the game. And that, for me, you can't pick too many holes in Ollie Pope's technique, but he's very jittery against spin, all that type of stuff. And that more is about game plan and mindset. And that's what he has to find out. He's played 20-odd tests now, Ollie Pope. And a bit like what Shane Warne said about Monty Panesar, when Monty Panesar's played one test 30 times. Ollie Pope's getting to that point where it's like, come on, where are you going to learn? When's that coming?
Liam Livingston, of course, not in the squad. Hindsight is a wonderful thing, of course, Rob, but do you think the selectors will be regretting not having him in there?
Possibly. The Liam Livingston one is like an absolute flyer. What I like about Liam Livingston is the same thing with Zach Crawley and people like that. The upside is so great if they can deal with the red ball, deal with Test match cricket, all of that. You think, they could be world-class players, and that's what you want in a selection. That Liam Livingston wouldn't mean that we're winning this Ashes series, that's for sure. Although I think he's the type of selection that you'd like to have seen them been brave about. Someone that's their upside is so great, and you suffer the downside and the fact they might struggle, because if they do come good, their good is very, very good.
You mentioned brave selections. Talking about bravery, Joe Root admitted the bowlers didn't hit the right lengths, and he said they needed to be braver. It's been a theme of this Ashes series, hasn't it? Did the selectors pick the right bowlers?
No, because I think they got it sort of the wrong way round. They picked the spinner and four seamers, and on a flat, dead pitch that turned a bit, they had five seamers who all did a similar thing. And the one bowler they really needed was Mark Wood. But those sorts of things, that's for the captain and the bowlers to work out. It's not hard to do. My issue a little bit more with the England team is the decisions that they make. You don't always have captains. Some of the great captains were never great tacticians. They didn't read the game particularly well, but they were good leaders in other things. Joe Root is in that category. And what you do with that in a setup is that you then bring in a coach who is so savvy, so shrewd, and reads the game so well that they can counter what the parts that Joe Root isn't great at, which is the tactical stuff and things like that. And they sort of cover each other off in that regard. And that's where I worry about this England team at the moment, is that, the think tank, as it were, has made bad decisions for a long time now, certainly going back into the winter. COVID hasn't helped, yes, I know, but it's been a while since we've seen England play and thought, do you know what, they've got that absolutely spot on with their selection. You
preempted my next question a little bit there with regard to Joe Root, the captain. How much responsibility do you think he should take for how England have performed in these first two tests?
Yeah, a fair amount. But also, if you took Joe Root's runs out of it, England would be nowhere over the last year. They would have lost every single test match without Joe Root's runs even. So, yes, the selection, stuff like that. But that's where I maintain. That's where you need someone who can actually help him out. And is Chris Silverwood the man to do that at the moment? You would have to say no, because what happens is, in a team, it's a partnership. And Joe Root turns up on the morning and he says, you know what, I think we'll have a bat on this pitch. And the savvy coach and the really shrewd coach goes, no, mate, we'll have a bowl on that. And this is the team that we should go with. And you go, okay, great. And you need that direction. And when the bowlers bowl too short for a session and he sets short pitch fields for Ben Stokes bowling bouncers and bowls him too much, the coach is the one who says, no, you just change it up here, go fuller. And they give him that sort of help and advice. And that's where I think, England need to have a serious think about how that entire think tank is working. And have they got the right people to be able to help and take this team forward?
Rob, there's only one place between Australia and England in the ICC Test rankings. How good is this Australia side, or are we seeing a result of Australia's brilliance or England's misery, or a mixture of both?
Don't pay any mind to the rankings, to be honest, as much as the ICC wouldn't really probably appreciate me saying that, because so much of it depends on who you're playing against, when you're playing them. Are you playing India? In India, that's a different story. Have you played 5 tests against them? All these kinds of things. The fact is that England at the moment, we don't quite know what their best team is. When you have great cricket teams, like that England team under Strauss, you knew who was going to open. You knew who was going to bat 3. You knew that Graham Swan was the spinner. The England team now can't tell you that, or the England selector in Chris Silverwood and Joe Root, the captain. They'll be sitting there now thinking, what's our best team for Melbourne? What should we do for this next? We haven't got a spinner that we really think. Joe Root went the way he did because he thinks, I've got a spinner, but I don't think I rate him particularly. I think I can do a better job. So where do they go with that? That's the problem, and that's why it's not an easy job at the moment, because it's not obvious where to go.
I'm trying to find reasons to be optimistic if you're an England fan, but the next question probably won't be. Only one team have come back from 2-0 down to win the Ashes. That was Australia, and that was in 1937. Sir Don Bradman made 810 runs at an average of 90. Are England, dare I say it, staring at a 5-0?
Well, they are at the moment, I suppose, because they're 2-0 down. But what I would like to see, personally, is actually now be brave. Now actually go for some of the younger players. Because if you're going to go down, at least some good might come out of it. You might see a Crawley, you might see whoever it might be, one of these young players emerge, whoever it is, And who knows, you could do something special. When England beat that great Australian team under Michael Vaughan and the 2005 team, what Michael Vaughan wanted, he wanted no baggage. He didn't want any of the older players that had been beaten up by Australia over the years. And he went with some exciting players like Kevin Peterson, Ian Bell, whoever it was. And he backed those younger players and they turned up for him. Well, Kevin Peterson did. Bell didn't have a great time of it in that. But from that, he kicked on. And that's what can happen. Have some investment in youth.